And I can remember sitting outside smoking a cigarette early evening before, finish work, but, you know, about to go to the pub, whatever. So nothing going on. It was eerily silent. And I could just hear we lived in a two up, two down, it's got two bedrooms and like,
Yeah.
kitchen and cinema, that's it. And I was outside the backyard. And I could just hear floating through the open window, "You can do it, baby." And he was just singing that to himself.
Hey, everybody out there. Welcome back to another episode of the Audiophiles. It's Andy and it's John, and it's time to dig into some music. So, John is going to be offering up something for me to go off and listen to. I'm going to do just that. And then we're going to come back and chop it up and discuss it for an inordinate amount of time, which we often do here. So, John, what do you have in store for us today, my friend?
So it's band which I've covered before, and time of press. The sun is out, the sky is blue, and so it's Nuyorican soul.
Oh, yeah.
And this track is called "You Can Do It" (brackets baby end brackets), and featuring the wonderful George Benson.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
Sort
that's a
of
surprise as
somewhat
well.
familiar with George Benson stuff. I know the name for sure, and I
Yeah,
fairly sort of heard some of his stuff. So, featuring him, I'm assuming from a vocal perspective on this track. Nice, nice.
yeah,
Okay, cool, cool, cool.
and jazz guitar.
Oh, hello. Cool. Well, then let me go off and give this a spin, and I will come back and let you know what I think. It's very pretty. It almost sounds like birds like chirping and coming to life in the wake of this pretty elongated minute and 30 now of this lovely like Latin infused guitar work, which all the picking through and the flightiness of each note that's touched along the way sounds so good. And then yeah, again, it's like it stirred some birds in a nearby nest or something. Pull that back just a little bit to hear those birds come to life. Those aren't real birds. That's quite digital. But still nice nonetheless, and still very much connotes birds chirping.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got rhythm, I got rhythm too.
A little bit of friction. I love these little added bits of frictious sounding percussion that they're injecting intermittently throughout this. It's so nice to see a plan come together, like from the way it started to what it is now blossomed into, which is this like Latin jazz fusion sound, which is great, even equipped with Benson's like scatting along the way. It's rhythmic, right? Obviously, but it is not like jump up out of your seat and force you, but you'd be hard pressed not to like move your head, pop your shoulder a little bit, or tap your foot. Some part of your body has to move when this kind of music is being played, or at least that's my sort of instinctual or reaction when I hear music like this. I just kind of like want to move with it, and it's so rhythmic. Texture coming from the shakers and the cymbal work in this, it just adds so much to the track. Guitar and vocals like layered on top of each other, just parroting what the other is doing. It sounds really great too. This is fun, and it's just got this movement to it. It is really smile-inducing. That was lovely. Oh, there was so much going on in there musically, right? At one point, I was like hyper fixated on one thing, and then it would shift, and kind of like my attention ebbed and flowed with the appearances of certain instruments throughout the track. I mean, even like there were points where the synth was just playing this like resonant sound that was much like how I described what the drums were doing. It just adds this added texture to it, this another layer, another feeling within the song. Those drums, cymbal work, and the added percussions, so rich. The guitar, the finger work on the neck was like the fluttering of a butterfly, you know, fluid but moving to and fro and all over the place. It sounded fabulous. I mean, Benson's voice sounds really great in this, but it's the scatting technique that really captured my attention, especially when working in tandem with that aforementioned guitar stuff. It was just lovely. That jazzy, upright sounding bass was really great as well. I mean, all of this was terrific. And I know that it does, and that I noted how much it has this rhythmic movement to it, as music of this ilk often does. But it's not the kind of rhythm that's so intense. Like I mentioned, it grabs you out of your seat and forces you to dance. You could do that to this song, but for me, there's something like soothing about the way this sounded. And I just really, I don't know, it kind of washed over me in a way that was slightly more subdued, but no less appreciated than if it were something raucous and upbeat and, you know, kind of forced my feet to move around, rather than just sort of tap, you know, because I could see myself snapping or tapping my foot to this for sure. I was having to kind of restrain myself, but again, it wasn't like fly out of my seat rhythm. But there was something very peaceful about the sound of the song as a whole package, even at its most flighty. It was warm and inviting, and I really appreciated it. Yeah, I don't know, it might be recency bias, but I think I might like this track better than the first one, which we did, which I also really enjoyed. I don't know, I'd have to go back and hold them up against each other, but there is something about the cool Latin jazz fusion in this track that really spoke to me for whatever reason. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. This looks like it's the same album cover, if I'm not mistaken. The Fabric of New York. Let's get back to John, figure that out, and discuss this a bit further.
Tooting Broadway is back. So you've had a listen to You Can Do It, Baby. Nuyorican Soul featuring Georgie Benson. And just what all viewers of this channel have been crying out for, some jazz guitar.
Well,
what do you think?
You know, to hell with whatever they wanted or didn't want. I say that tongue in cheek, as you're probably going to come for my neck in the comment section. But no, I loved me some jazz guitar, and this was very welcome.
Just you know, small
yeah,
doses.
yeah, take it in doses, like you often say. I liked this here. I don't know if I could deal with 12 tracks and 52 minutes of it. You know what I mean? But this track was. In fact, this is our second dalliance with Nuyorican Soul, and I think I'm really gonna have to go back and listen to the first track that you gave me to hold it up against this. But I, for some reason, felt that this one resonated with me a little bit more than the first track. Go ahead.
So the one we listened to before was "I'm the Black Gold of the Sun," which is the opening track, and
of this very same album, right?
Yeah, and this is the closing track. What you just listened to.
Oh, look at us bookending. That's how serendipitous. So. It's a flurry of picked through guitar notes introduces the song. And for a moment at the 14-second mark, there is this really pretty strummed chord before the guitar returns to that picking motif. And as this continues for some time, there enters what at first sounds like birds chirping at the 127 mark. But then it kind of descends and it becomes clear that this is digital in nature. this warbling that it devolves into. So it's clearly some sort of facsimile, but in the early days, it really did make me think of like a bird in a nest waking up to hearing this jazz guitar being played. And it was like, let me join in. So the digital songbird continues its chirping as the keys then enter the frame with these resonant chords. And then our guest vocalist, Benson, joins the mix. And after he assures us that we all have rhythm, there are some excellent flourishes on the guitar, accented by the unmistakable sounds of these shakers. Or maybe it's shakers and tambourines, but there is this frictious, uber texture laden sound of auxiliary percussions that come through. And that texture is fucking lovely. I love what it adds to this track. And this progresses for a while and it blossoms into this Latino jazz motif with all sorts of percussion, stellar guitar work, and some vocal scatting to boot. And the way his scattered vocalizations hit in this perfect unison with the guitar notes. And it's so much fun how those two are kind of like becoming one to the point where you don't know who's parroting who. It's this chicken and egg thing, and they align perfectly. Yeah, it sounds great. The drums have such a lovely swing and splash to them as well. It's just so rhythmic and locomotive that you find it hard to not move, at least a body part or two as it plays. This isn't one that grabs you up out of your seat and makes you want to dance with your nearest partner. It's not that, but it is this more subdued rhythm that makes you like move your shoulder or tap your foot or snap. It's still got that to it. It's just not, and it's not meant to. I don't think it wants to get you up out of your seat. It wants to make you feel. So yeah, this dynamic between, Latin forward rhythmic music and this jazz sound combined together is an interesting dynamic, and I'm enjoying it very much. At the 7-minute mark, the drums cut out, leaving the bass to meander about low in the mix, along with these resonant synth chords and Benson's vocalizations. They sort of take center stage as he calls out, mm-hmm, uh-huh, which I thought was actually it made me smile hearing him do that. Also, back to that bass, the upright bass throughout this, or this very upright sounding bass, especially earlier in the track, loved that too, and it only enhanced the jazz atmosphere that they were building musically. Then the drums return, and the guitar continues its expedition across the neck as notes effortlessly flutter about the soundscape. And at the 8:11 mark, the drums cut out yet again, leaving those liquid, smooth, resonant synth notes to fill the air as we get more vocalization from Benson. That faint bird-like sound in the distance, some touches on the cymbals, and then the song fades out to the sound of that digital songbird that I mentioned earlier. Yeah, this had a very soothing effect, which is interesting when you're talking about something that's so rhythmically forward, but there is that for some reason I felt this to be calming in a way. And I really enjoyed that. And it gave it just the right amount of progression and soul. So yeah, as you would come to imagine with a name like Nuyorican Soul, but just a lovely example of like this Latin jazz fusion. And yeah, I enjoyed every second of it, man. It sounded great. I thought the stuff that was being done from a percussion aspect as well as some of the synth stuff was great as far as adding texture and dimension to the track, and giving it an almost tangible feel. So yeah, really good stuff. So tell me more about this track, John.
Andy, we've covered one track before, as we've mentioned, on the Black Gold of the Sun. I'll put a link in below. I talked a lot about sort of the band and the guys and everything and how it came together. I'll try not to go over the same ground, so you can go and check that out. Reason I picked this is this album, Nuyorican Soul by Nuyorican Soul, is the only album I did. There were plans of doing more, but it never happened. I think it's one of those ultimate summer albums. I just think because there's so many aspects to it, but it just sounds different, and again different aspects probably of the experience of summer. And this is the cool early evening sort of by some water and perhaps some sand as well, and it's just beautiful, this, and it's a lovely closing track to an album.
I was just gonna
Um,
say,
I-
you describe it as being a perfect like summer day album, and then just as it's ending the day, this track hits, and
Yeah.
it all aligns perfectly, right?
it does.
Also, John, the phrase on the album is not the name of the. It's a self-titled album, but it does say like the fabric of New York, I think, in Spanish. On it is that okay? That's not the name of the
No.
album. You have to remind. Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, just to get into it. So Nuyorican Soul studio album by Nuyorican Soul, released in 1997. It is groundbreaking, critically acclaimed album by Masters at Work, otherwise known as Little Louis Vega and Kenny Dope Gonzalez, who are producers in their own right, loads of stuff. This album blends Latin, house, jazz, soul, hip hop, and features guest appearances: George Benson, Roy Ayers, Tito Puente, DJ Jazzy Jeff, Jocelyn Brown, Vincent Montana Jr., and the Salsoul Orchestra, and of course India, the vocalist from Puerto Rico as well. It peaked at number 25 in the UK albums chart, which is kind of amazing, really, because there's not a big Puerto Rican community on our shores, and people embracing this sort of music. I think it was just amazing. You think it would do pretty well in America, and it just sort of passed them by, but it did all right in the UK. So it has been referred to by critics as a soulful masterpiece. This album has been praised for the production as well as luxurious and a life-affirming record. And it kind of bridges the gap between the dance floor orientated tracks which they worked on before, mainly house, with this Latin jazz, and sort of brought them together. So it's perceived as a very sophisticated album rather than just a club record. So BBC Music said Vega and Gonzalez fashioned an album. It was designed based on the design of a box of fine Cuban cigars.
Has that look like the lid's just gonna lift right off of it?
You can get a box set version of this, which has that.
Oh, really?
Box.
Like the
and
hint?
it came with some cigars.
Oh, wow, that's so cool.
I couldn't afford that, so I just got the normal one. So yeah, but it celebrated their Puerto Rican roots, but at the same time, it was a symphony to the New York street. So that's where you get that phrase on the album.
Yeah.
And you've got the sort of island design as well. So the album helped reactivate the careers of Roy Ayers and George Benson. Ayers is extemporizing on Roy's Scat, which is another scat song, against his vibraphone. And then the following track, the beautiful Sweet Tears, perfectly showcased his abilities. I do remember that actually, because there was a load of white label Roy Ayers floating around at the time, and his stuff was going 200, 300, 400 quid an album, and before it was all re-released, etc. Same can be said for George Benson's album closer, You Can Do It, Brackets Baby. It plays to Vega and Gonzalez's strengths underneath Benson's fluid guitar and vocals. So the complicated lyrics. You can do it, baby. You can do it, baby. Yeah. You can do it, baby. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got rhythm? I got rhythm too. You can do it, baby. You can do it, baby. Yeah. You can do it, baby. You can do it, baby. Uh-huh. You know you've got rhythm. I've got rhythm too. Yeah, yeah. Uh-huh. 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 Whoa. Been so long since I've been gone. Been so long since I've been gone. You know I'm back from the world. Uh-huh. You know I'm back from the world. Uh-huh. Been so long since I've been gone. Uh-huh. 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 Whoa. There you go.
I'll just show we didn't get your version of scatting, John. I was saying that bated breath.
It's interesting you say that, because I mean, clearly what he's doing is he's singing the notes in his head, and he's just singing them out loud for a change. Yeah. And that's what Clapton always said his approach was to sing the solos in his head, so he played it like a song. Yep. And that's why he got that fluidity to his blues solos. But anyway, it's just hearing that in a very different way, but there's still this virtuosity to the guitar playing. It's beautiful. This is from Albinism website. Lurking at the end of the album, though, is my favorite song. It's illuminated by the stellar work of guest George Benson. You Can Do It, Baby began as a blank slate for Benson, encouraged to simply play and try different melodies and improvisations as masses of work sought out the hook that would form the basis of the song. So they didn't even have a song, they just delivered it. Displaying all his skills and influences, Benson played some classical lines, Spanish lines, and Wes Montgomery-esque phrases until inspiration struck the production duo. Removing the backing they provided for Benson initially, they returned with a new rhythm track that Carol Cooper called propulsive and silkily erotic. The song begins with Benson's barely accompanied guitar musings before a subtle, almost ambient keyboard phrase ushers in the rest of the accompaniment, adding the positive exaltation of the lyrics from Benson's plaintive tone, and it starts to shimmer like the Caribbean Sea at dawn. Once the beat drops, though, the shimmer is gone to be replaced by an undeniable groove that could go on for days. So yeah, just a little bit about George Benson, because like you kind of know who he is now,
Yeah.
but it's hard to name many of his tracks. Just Give Me the Night was one I remember in the charts when I was a kid, but that's about it. And Breezing, the album's on, anyway, multi-platinum. So George Washington Benson, born in 1943, is an American jazz fusion guitarist, singer, and songwriter. He began his professional career at the age of 19 as a jazz guitarist. So he's a former child prodigy, and he came to prominence in the 60s playing soul jazz with other artists. He then launched a successful solo career, alternating between jazz, pop, R&B, singing and scat singing. His album Breezing was certified triple platinum, hit #1 in the Billboard charts in 1976. Benson's released 36 studio albums and 5 live albums and has sold over 12 million records worldwide. He has also won 10 Grammy Awards and has been honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Yeah,
So there you go.
That's
And
a career.
I loved this series when he was the butler. But anyway,
Benson.
so yeah, this album holds a real special place, as you probably gather by now. But yeah, it was given to me as a birthday present in '97. Hadn't heard of this, and I was in a house at the time. It was me and a lodger, a friend of mine, and we played it through that summer, and it was just wonderful. It just seemed to be on all the time. And I can remember sitting outside smoking a cigarette early evening before, finish work, but, about to go to the pub, whatever. So nothing going on. It was eerily silent. And I could just hear, we lived in a 2 up, 2 down, it's got 2 bedrooms and kitchen and sitting, and that's it. And I was outside the backyard. And I could just hear floating through the open window, "You can do it, baby." And he was just singing that to himself. Oh, that's hilarious. This wasn't his music at all, but everyone who heard it just especially if they had something liquid in their hands, just absolutely adored it. So it's a great album. And this track, to me, with the percussion as well, it almost feels like your toes are going through sand. It's got that sort of slight shuffle to it. It's just lovely. And that is a highlight throughout the whole album, the percussion. And I guess that's some of the Puerto Rican sort of influence there. It's just wonderful. So I've got one other track from this, which is, so again, completely different to what you've listened to before, this one and the one. It is, again, I think, a fantastic track. But so before the summer is out, you should have one more Nuyorican track.
Good. It seems apropos given that this album screams summer. So yeah, during the summer would be a good time to hear it.
Cool. Well, I'm really pleased you enjoyed it. And and I'm sure some people will see that and go, jazz guitar, not for me, not my thing, but, give it a go. I think it just gets to the point. Clearly, we know now from the notes that he was just improvising there. And that sort of 1 minute 30, 1 minute 40 mark is about you thinking, okay. And then the song kicks in. So they just timed it right before you run out of patience. Yeah. I love it. I can listen to that bit, for days on end. So it doesn't, but for the casual listener, I understand it could start to get a bit much, but then it just kicks in and it's just wonderful. Anyway, I shall wrap things up. Thanks for listening, Sandy.
Thank you,
folks out there. Please tell us what you think. If you like this, do hit the like button. I'm reckoning we need all the help to get to double figures, but go on, give it a shot. And drop some comments. We'd love to hear what you think about it, whether you enjoyed Mr. Benson's digital expertise on the guitar and his scatting as well, which is that other meaning. And I would love to hear what you think. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. All this and more besides could be yours, whether you subscribe or not, actually. But it's better if you do. You get the full flavour. So please hop on board. That being said, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see all of you on the next episode of the Audiophiles.
See you later, guys.